Now a fascinating interview with a doctor who's among those making a connection between COVID and a mental shift in some people that seem to make them behave like sheep. Lisa Fletcher interviews Dr. Michael Nehls about his new bestseller, The Indoctrinated Brain.
Because we don't have any source.
Dr. Michael Nehls is a molecular geneticist and former CEO of a biotech company. His new book, The Indoctrinated Brain, offers a novel explanation for why he says some people seemed to blindly do as they were told during the COVID pandemic, even when the advice was questionable or bad. Nehls argues that the COVID vaccine damaged our body's ability to produce cells responsible for decision-making.
But conscious thinking requires these cells to be produced. And if they're not produced, conscious thinking is not possible, and then we are just sheep following the herd.
Nehls says both COVID and the vaccine cause measurable brain changes that can affect people's ability to think clearly and critically. And he argues that's by design.
What is astonishing is that this vaccine, and particularly the virus which this vaccine is based on, was manipulated. It was created as a bioweapon. We know that.
Are you saying this was intentional or collateral?
I'm a scientist, so I present all the evidence. So I'm not saying I'm the judge, I'm the prosecutor. And the jury of this trial that I put out there will be my readers. And if this mental immune system is now destroyed on purpose or by accident, it doesn't make a difference at the end.
Nehls says research shows that COVID and the vaccine target the hippocampus, a complex brain structure that plays a major role in learning and memory. Every night when you sleep, it makes new brain cells, a mental immune system of sorts, protecting your ability to remember and think clearly. But COVID and the vaccine, Nehls says, disrupt that process. He says there are a number of factors that can trigger that same brain disruption and are the reasons we're seeing an explosion of certain brain disorders.
Depression and Alzheimer have the same cause, a lack of production of new nerve cells in the hippocampus.
Nehls says there are largely ignored treatments that can turn the tide for some brain issues. Lifestyle changes like exercise, engagement in life, and nutrition, which includes proper amounts of dietary lithium and vitamin D that most Americans are low on, can prevent or reverse the effects of Alzheimer's, depression, and COVID. But Nehls says there's no money in that message. And Nehls claims that even at the height of COVID, simple solutions that he says could have saved lives were ignored because they were unprofitable.
The German Cancer Research Center published a paper, and in its title it says 9 of 10 COVID deaths can be prevented by just increasing vitamin D. And there are hundreds of publications out.
So there are hundreds of publications out that validate that research.
Absolutely.
Yet we have this global mania and mad scramble for years to try to deal with COVID, try to quickly produce vaccines.
Absolutely.
What is the explanation for that if the answer was right there in front of everyone?
Well, it was never about health. If people are not able to think clearly, consciously think, and have the ability to choose between two things, then there is no democracy anymore. And this is all happening right now.
Nehls acknowledges that his views may be controversial and that he faces opposition from those who dismiss his research. But he says the public needs to have all the information and come to their own conclusions based on evidence. For Full Measure, I'm Lisa Fletcher.